Thank you. Yes, I think there was one good thing about the Bible and God, and it's the term, let there be light. Because as most of you know, we know now quite sure, we can trace the origin of the universe back. You can turn on the light now so everybody can see. And it started with a big explosion of light. So everything you see now, turn on the light please, so people can wake up. So everything you see is light. Your body is light. Electromagnetism, which talk about in frequency, it's waves of electric current. And the electric current generates fields which move through space. And those fields are made of photons, quantums of energy. It's light, it's all light. So when we think about light, we normally think about the visual light, what we see. But the light is actually your brain waves. It's actually everything. Also, we know from Einstein's formula that matter and energy are interchangeable, like Marcus already said. So the important thing in here is that how I see it is that physical existence is just a different frequency of light. So when we're talking about quantum mechanics, quantum physics and everything, we're actually talking about the quantum, a piece of energy, and we call it photons, so it's light. So quantum physics is the physics of light. So I think it's important for us now to take the next step from understanding electromagnetism to understanding what is the radiation of electromagnetism. It's light. So the whole electromagnetic spectrum, let's see if I have a picture here, yeah. The whole electromagnetic spectrum from low frequency, frequency around the Earth, to radio waves, to microwaves, to ultraviolet radiation, visual light, and all of that, is our existence. So there is nothing we know for sure that's going on in the body which is not electromagnetic. And I think it's very interesting to understand the informational field, and I think what the work TimeWaver is doing is great. But my mission, I feel many times, is try to help normal people that are not specialists in quantum physics to understand how our world is working with terms we can prove. And we can prove that anything you see in my physical body, everything is electromagnetic. Every signaling is going with electric currents, electric fields, and photons. And if you have a health problem, you can see it. It's very simple. You can check if you have a photon problem, then you have a problem. So, we know now from research that 99.999% of the universe is energy. And we say 0.0001% is matter. So I must say honestly, what is this 0.0001%? Well, it's at least 99.9999% energy. And I also like to say, on behalf of myself, that we know nothing about 99.999% of the universe, and we think we know something about 0.0001% of the universe. At least I think I know maybe that much. Yes, energy is distributed in waves of light in a broad spectrum of frequency. A spectrum is from very high frequency to low frequency. 99% of all the molecules in your body are water. Think about it. And the only electromagnetic waves that can travel through pure water, pure H2O, it's light, visual light. Why? Well, because we are water machines running on light. So what is the most beneficial thing you can do in the morning? Well, you get out when the sun is rising, when there's red light, and you take off your shoes. That's why I wear my sandals. I walk in the park, and you get the energy from Earth, and you get the frequency from Earth, the current from Earth, and you get the radiation from the sun. This is how our biological was developed. 6 million, 10 million years, we've been walking barefoot outside. Now we sit inside with a lot of bad light and bad frequency. We have to do something about this. And when we talk about informational fields, I'm not going to say that nobody's wrong, because this is just my suggestion. But I understand informational fields when looking at electromagnetism and light. So for example, if you see the sun up there, and you see the beam of light, of electrons, going to Earth's magnetic field, we know for sure that when there is a sunstorm and there are big sunspots, a lot of people, sensitive people, can have heart problems. There are more acute circumstances in hospitals. More people are getting depressed, and so on at the same time. So we know for sure that there is a transfer of energy and information through electromagnetic waves and photons from the universe. So when I was a young boy, I was going to the university and I looked at astronomy. And the first thing we learn is that astrology, looking for the science, is completely bullshit. And now, 40 years later, I understand that, well, the problem is that we are influenced by all of the surroundings. So it's not bullshit, but it's a little bit old-fashioned. We can do it more modernly. So it's a lot of information here, but let's just look at a couple of things. If you look at the top, you see different forms of photons, of light. Light, let's say, call it particles. And they can have any shape. They can have any phase. They can have different spins, different frequency, so on. So light can carry information in very different ways. I will show you more. You see this woman with the red sides of the breast and the green side of the breast. Well, we can see from the light on her body that there is a problem, because the distribution is not even, it's not balanced. This is many ways to see. We also know from physics that when two particles meet, they never forget each other. And we even now have technology where they use quantum, what is the name? Anyway, it's a quantum transmission. So they have managed to send changes of information from Earth to outside of our atmosphere with only time delay of, no time delay. That means we can have communication without time, because you're changing the phase and information of a photon. And two photons that meet, they are always connected, no matter the distance. This is, for me, something that makes me understand that, well, informational fields are real. They exist, we can measure it, we can use it, we can even send information to space with it. I also think it's important to understand that from the photoelectric effect discovered by Einstein, that when light hits matter or hits our body like particles, it will produce electrons. And to get current, like voltage, to move through your body, you need electrons. So when you go out in the sun, it charges your body. And we know that light penetrates very well into water, so it charges your water. So again, we are a water machine running on light. We know also from interesting research, which is named the phantom DNA effect. You take a DNA sample and you put it in a vacuum, where it's supposed to be nothing. But of course there are photons there, because there is energy everywhere. And after this, I have a picture coming up. After this, you will see the shape of the photons. They change. They get into a pattern. And everybody were very surprised. You know, you take DNA, and it changes the reality, the physical reality of the photons. And then they took it out. And they look again, and the shape was still there. So it means when your DNA sends out information in the surrounding, you change the physical surrounding by your thoughts, by your emotion, by the frequency and information from the DNA. It can do it, it's physical. Yeah, also from Fritz Albert Popp, which is one of the big researchers discovering of the biophotonic emissions, which is emissions of light from cells. We can measure that good, healthy cells, they emit healthy amounts of light in the broad spectrum. Sick cells don't do it. We also know that, very interesting research, I don't know how many who knows this, that our heart is detecting things in the surrounding before our brain. Think about it. So in China, they said for a long time, we call it upper down 10, medium down 10, lower down 10. Upper brain, medium brain, lower brain. Congratulations. It's about time we learn it, because we have an upper brain, yes, but it's actually more, let's say, executive department, because it's getting the message from the heart and the stomach. And the heart also pumps all the blood around. And the heart is a big electromagnetic pump, sending out waves of light. This way, the heart can inform the whole body on what to do. And if you have a good feeling in the heart, you will transmit the frequency of this feeling through your whole body, and your body will change. This is science now. It's very well documented. Yeah, it's just an example. HIV positives, they had 3,000 times larger chance to survive if they were in a positive mode. Why? Why is this? How you feel is how your frequencies are, is how your electric body is. And that determines the environment for virus, for cells, for anything existing in your body. So here you see the DNA phantom image, by the way. And in the middle here, we have something I consider very interesting. I'm not going to go in depth. But for years, researchers have tried to understand our brain. Why does my brain behave differently from your brain when we do the same thing? And we couldn't explain it before now. Now they map the brain in 11 dimensions, close to the 12, in electromagnetic shapes, geometric shapes. Then you will see that the same fields are active when we're doing the same things or experience the same things. So again, we can explain how the consciousness is behaving in the brain and the body from electromagnetism and light. We can also see that our neurons and the pathways of the galaxies who transport light in our brain and in the universe, they are very similar. So I really think that supports the idea Marcus said earlier today, that we are one with everything. We are a mini universe, we are a mini God, or a big whatever, but we are made of the same matter, we work the same way, we work on light, we are made of light, we are controlled by light, we distribute light. This effect, if you know this picture from above, is used in the TimeWaver med and TimeWaver frequency, where you have a light diode which can choose which way it wants to move. This way, you can interact with the photons, and of course, it's a very smart way of doing it. That's why it's working so well, I think, personally. Yes, again, some more evidence. We see the brain is shaped like a two-sided magnet. So it's made to send and emit and receive electromagnetic signals. We also see that, let's see, yeah, your emotions change immediately after your DNA and body change immediately, like this, when they change your emotion. So if you're capable of feeling gratitude, empathy for everybody, you are doing yourself a favor. And that's why the Buddhists always knew this. They say the highest practice you can do in Buddhism is to practice empathy. And in reality, what are you doing? Well, you are helping everybody, but you're helping yourself because you are just one of everybody. So again, some examples. You see here, this is real pictures. This was from a child who were abused in very young age. Where is the light in that brain? The light is very weak. The frequencies are not strong. The electric potential is weak. So what happens if you have a problem from abuse? Well, it interrupts your electric system, your light system. And this is from a healthy brain. It looks a little bit different. Yeah. Here's you have some frequency of light, as I call it. As you can see, if you're very happy, you have a frequency that lights up the whole body. And this is from Finnish researchers. It's using high-quality info tomography. And you can again see that emotions, they manifest in the body as light, as electromagnetic pulses. This is from a colleague in the United States. I borrowed from Dr. Jerry Tennant. He was awarded the Doctor of the Year from Natural Doctors in the United States last year. He's 80 years old, top shape. And he managed to look at Chinese medicine, Indian chakra system, nerval connections, blood veins, acupuncture, meridian points, meeting, and he managed to classify what he called bioterminals. And these bioterminals, you will typically find the emotions stored. So if you are very scared all the time, you have anxiety, angst, you will influence your bladder and your kidneys. And it's connected what we call to Mingmen, the gate of life in Chinese. So when you have a client and you see they have a kidney problem, you can ask, what are you afraid of? Why are you worried? What is stressing you? Because it's located here. It's in the body. It's not out there in some strange thing we cannot understand. It's stored in the body like electric fields, like electric patterns, and it's influencing you. So, what do you feel? And I think this is fundamental and a follow-up what Marcus said. If you feel you are alone, you are separate, you need to do everything alone, it's a big fight. You worry about how you feel, if you're good enough, you feel anger, jealousy and all these things. What is happening? Well, it's a big downward spiral. It takes your frequency to a bad level. It's not healthy for your body because the frequency and the currents of light are disrupted and you have a downward spiral. But when you start to understand that you are a part of everything, you cannot do anything at all without influencing the universe. Because we know all matter was compressed, so if I touch my leg, I touch my leg in the farmost outer place of the universe. So everything is totally connected. And so it's actually an illusion to be alone. You cannot be alone. It's something you construct up here. But if you feel alone, I can feel it, because I am in the same boat. You are not alone. Nobody's alone. So from our DNA, who emits lights, we know that electromagnetic fields, they travel forever. So like my heart field, the electric field from my heart, we can now measure 6 meters away. So in future, you go to the doctor, you sit in a chair, and everything is being measured, just in a sealed room, like this. We know that our frequency, if you all feel the same, and many people in Earth feel the same at the same time, like when Princess Diana died or Obama was becoming president, we all have similar feelings, or many have similar feelings. That influences the fields around Earth, what is often referred to as Schumann resonance, after the researcher who found this frequency, 7.83 hertz, and other frequencies. So we can modulate it, and we influence random generating processes. So it can be measured. It's been measured for a long time. So that means that what we feel not only influences our body, it influences our surrounding, it influences the frequency of Earth, and when you influence the frequency of Earth, you influence the frequency of the universe. You see? So the universe is sending signals to us, we are sending signals to the universe, And we're all connected all the time. You cannot be alone. It's an illusion. Wake up. So this is something I explained for several years. We just extend it a little bit. And it means that in your cells, your cell membranes, if you put an electrode on the inside and outside and measure it with a voltmeter, so you measure the capacity of the cell. If the voltage is low, if you are diseased, if the voltage is low, you have a health problem. If the voltage is high, the signaling is working because your radio has power. There is power to take in the molecules like oxygen. So if you look at a disease like cancer, and you will always see that the cancer cells have very low electric potential and very little light emission. So if you can change the electric potential, which is equal to the pH potential hydrogen, which is also electric, we call it acid balance, it's about electric balance. It's electric balance. So if you can increase the voltage, it cannot be a cancer cell because it cannot divide. And it also will get oxygen and all nutrition into the cell. But the sick cell with low potential don't get enough oxygen to produce ATP, the energy molecule. And the cell wants to survive, and it has low electric potential, so that means the information is there to divide, and it starts to burn sugar without oxygen. And that we call it fermentation. It's like making wine, but it's not a good wine. So this is researchers from many countries. I did show it once before here, but I think it's important just to have the scientific basis there. This is a fact. This is measurements. And if you look at the right side, you see this says millivolt. That's the voltage, the power, and it goes down. So in a healthy body, let's say a woman is getting pregnant, and the embryo is having to divide. It cannot divide if the voltage is high. So the body naturally lowers the voltage so the cells can divide. This is a control. It's informational control by electromagnetism. And once it has divided enough, and you want it to become, let's say, a liver cell, it has to increase the voltage. And then it has to stay a liver cell because of several factors, but one important is the voltage. On the other side, we see that from here, from my experience, I know that about around minus 40 millivolts, you start to have pain. You know, you get pain. It's the first thing that happens. You know. And it drops further down. You maybe have an inflammation, and it drops further down. You can have an infection because you make an environment where bacteria, virus, and everyone can thrive, where they can grow, because it's controlled by the environment. And the environment is controlled by the voltage and the light. If it drops very far down, or even reversed polarity, and stays there for a long time, the cells will start to divide uncontrolled. So our task when you cure cancer is to find out, why is the voltage low? Why? Is it toxins? Is it emotions? Is it food? Is it radiation? Is it water? What is it? Is it too little sunlight? So this is the key. Tell me, anybody in this room, is anybody ever met a person who is sick with a high voltage? No. You will never meet anybody who is sick with a high voltage in the cells. Because then you're healthy. It's very simple. You're full of light, then you're healthy. Okay, so the plants, they are a little bit more simple than us, and they convert light to energy. They produce sugar and oxygen and so on. So they produce energy and they can grow. And you see in the middle of the molecule you have magnesium and nitrates around. And in the humans, we have the hemoglobin, the transporter of oxygen and energy to the mitochondria, to the production house of the cell. And it's the same format. The only difference is you have iron in the middle. And there are some more connections here we don't see because we need a little bit more advanced way. But it's just the transporter of oxygen and energy to the mitochondria. So we're like plants. And the good thing about it all, we use the oxygen and the sugar from the plants, and the plants, they use the carbon dioxide and our waste. So it's a super cooperation. Yeah. Okay, I just mentioned about light, water, and electric potential. Many of you have heard about exclusion zone water, e-seat water. But maybe some of you have not heard about it. And a researcher called Poleszynski, he discovered that inside our cells, the water divides in two zones. And the stronger those zones are, the more different potential there is. So you have the plus and the minus, and this is the reason why your lymph system can move. Because you don't have a heart in your lymph system. And people think it's because you jump up and down, the movement. But I'm standing still, it's still moving. How can it be? How can it be? Well, it's simple. Because we are water machines running on light. So when the sun hits your body, the waves go in and charge the water. So it can have a charge. So it's a battery too. So that's helping the cell battery, and it's inside all the cells. Well, this is getting complicated. Can you help me? No, joking. Well, what we are basically doing in the body is we are transferring protons and electrons. That's what we're doing. And when you eat food, it's to get some protons and electrons. And this is what's happening when you produce energy. Why do you think I have these glasses? Because I like to look strange? Not really. It's very simple, because when you have too much blue light, like in that projector, like on the screen, like on the mobile, like in the LEDs, in everywhere now, it's 4 times more blue light. That means wrong frequency. Wrong frequency. Too much of one frequency, too little of other. That is going to slow down the hydrogen pump in a molecule called ATPase. It is the important molecule to run the energy of the cell. So when it slows down, your energy goes down, your cell don't work well. So this is a direct reason for not overstimulating with blue light. That's why I have this one. I don't want to be totally tired when I go from here today. This is also affected by radiation from wireless systems, from wireless mobile phone, Wi-Fi routers, a lot of electric fields influence the pump. If you have a high potential in the cell membrane, this is a cell membrane, these electrons will move easily. If you have a high potential, the transmitters in the chain producing ATP will be close to each other, and we know from quantum physics that the tunneling can occur when the distance is not too large. So it means you have many ways of looking at the cell and the body to establish if it's healthy or not. But all the ways I know about, I don't know everything, but I don't find any ways that is not related to electromagnetism. This is my message. So you have the correct voltage, you have good communication with your cells. The body can regenerate and produce new cells, and if you regenerate and produce new healthy cells, you are healthy. That's simple. Too simple? Well, sorry, that's how it is. So where there is light and water, there is life. I will be very shocked to find a place where there's not light and water or similar, and there is life. I'm not sure it's a lot of light out there, but we need this. Okay, so this is the practical things for a therapist. So how to stay healthy? We know what is blocking the light, what is blocking the flow of energy in the body. Well, physical and emotional scars. So if I have a scar here, when the current in my body goes this way, because my body is all electric, inside the nerves, outside the nerves, there are electric currents, just different type. And it hits this scar, it will divert this way. So there's a signaling problem with the scar. So I have to work on the scar. So if a woman has a premature abortion, what it's called, I don't remember, but you have a big scar here, taking out a baby, the connection with the upper body and lower body is interrupted. So we have to fix the scar. If I have a big trauma, let's say I lose my child in an accident, I will have a big emotional scar. But how is emotional manifested in the body? Where are the emotions? Are they here, there, somewhere? Well, they are for sure here. So I will have an emotional scar, and that is a field of frequencies blocking natural flow. So we have to treat it. There are ways to treat it with TimeWaver and other systems. And one very important thing is dental issues. Because as we learned from China a long time ago, all the electric wiring in the body passes the tooth. And if you have an infection in one tooth, let's say behind here, body will send more power to heal this infection and take it from the stomach. So I have a stomach problem. And if you continue like this, the voltage will be low and you will have an infection let's say, a root canal, if you know what is a root canal. It's basically amputation of the tooth. No blood supply, no nerve supply, no electricity. There will be an infection because there is no voltage. This infection will make bacteria. This bacteria will make enzymes. Why do the bacteria make enzymes? Well, it needs food. And what is the meal? You. It makes enzyme to have lunch on your body. So if you're running around with a root canal or infection in the tooth, and you do everything to get healthy, but you don't fix this, you will never be healthy. Another thing is that if you have a root canal, it's going to kill you. The question is not if it's going to kill you, but when. So let's say you have an expected lifespan of 80 years, and you have this root canal, you can expect to be 75. So why don't you remove it? It's expensive, but get rid of it. It's going to shorten your life. Okay, so you have the blocks in the spine. And in the spine, we have the cranial sacral pump. It's fluid going up and down your spine and expanding and circulating in your head. If I have this position and here, this flow is not going. And when it's not flowing, the electrons are not moving and it's not producing electricity. When it's not producing electricity, we don't have the not necessary energy, so we need to fix the blocks in the spine. I can look there, by the way, it's more easy. Well, you have to eat, yeah, we have the building blocks, of course. So if like I said, if you take pure water and you want to have electricity going through it, it will not go through it without the minerals, electrolytes. So it comes from the word electrolytes. What does it mean? Electrolytes. It means can transfer electrons. It's electric. So eat your minerals. Have good real sea salt. Because people think you should eat salt, but if you don't eat salt, you're totally fatigued and nothing's going to work. Because the electricity and light cannot move in your body. It's all electric. You have to have the salt. Yeah, food. Here sits a lot of interesting people. Some people say you have to eat vegetarian or it's going to be very bad for you. And some people say, like me, you know, because I was trained in the other way, the paleo diet, because I try to eat like the hunters did when we're running around hunting. And then we eat the deer, and we eat everything in the deer, the liver and the blood and a lot of fats, and we rest for a day, and then we run again. And this diet's been very successful. But the strange thing is that even if you look at the vegetarian community, some people do very good with it, and some people don't. Why is this? Well, it's simple. It's because the food you eat should be relevant to the light outside. So if it doesn't grow in your environment, it's probably not the ideal food for you because it's not the same frequency. Your body don't recognize it. The light outside tells you what you should eat. So if I live in the north, I live in Norway, cold, long winter. I remember I met a monk from Tibet once. And I asked him about, you know, I live up in Norway and, you know, I eat meat and fat. And is it very bad? Should I eat vegetarian? He said, oh no, you should eat what is there. Very smart man. It's because of physics. He knew it. And I said, yeah, well, and if you live in India, it's very hot. You can eat much more vegetable and fruit. But if I eat a lot of vegetables and fruit in Norway with little sun, My insulin production is not being regulated because it's being regulated by the sun. So I will probably have a diabetic problem. So for me, in Norway in the winter, I should eat quite a lot of fats. I should eat the local, what is growing there locally. And in the summer, I spend more time, I can eat more fruits, more vegetables, and so on. So it's not one-dimensional. You should only eat this or only eat that. You should eat what is correct from where you are and where you live. Yeah, and again, of course, since 99.9% of the molecules in the body are water, it means that it's important what we drink. The bad news is that 80% of all the waters of Europe are now full of nanoparticles and microplastic. So you really have to clean the water. Really have to clean the water. And once it's clean, you have to add the salts. Because inside our blood, we have like 1/3 seawater and 2/3 of fresh water. So just think about it. We are a sea. We came from the sea. We were living in the sea before we were born. And now we have the sea inside us. So we have to help the sea to be clean, to have the right balance. Stress. Stress, as we saw on the pictures, interrupts your frequency and your flow. What is stress? Well, from a physical standpoint, it's all the same. Stress is when your heartbeat increases, your blood pressure increases, you send more blood to the muscles and to the brain. So you can escape from a deer, or not a deer, but from a lion or something. And stress can be if you have a big pain or if you have a big emotional stress. You have the same physical reaction. What does it do? It takes away your potential. It takes away your possibility to clean. So when you are stressed, you turn off the kidneys, the stomach, and the liver. You turn it down because you need the energy for the muscles and the brain and the heart to fight somebody. And if you do this all the time, you will have a problem. So I remember I used to teach people using TimeWaver frequency. I said, first you have to find out, is it the kidneys or is it the lungs? Because you have to get rid of the acids to keep the potential up. Yes, of course, toxins. Mercury is one of the worst. I know Klinikk, he was one of the researchers who were aware of the fact that mercury, quicksilver in English, is blocking light. So when it cannot transmit light, you are sick. And now we come to the last point, which is a growing problem. In the last 10 years, we had 20 million more times radiation than the 10 years before. And this is going to double every year for the next century. They're planning for us to have what they call 5G. The 5G, the next generation of wireless. 5G is very high frequency, very high intensity, 10 times stronger, 10,000 times stronger than what you experience with a mobile phone today. And the intensity is so strong it will go directly into your DNA. And just to give you something to worry about, try to take it easy. The American military uses the same frequency as a weapon. So they just send a high portion of this weapon and it causes a lot of pain. You want to go away. The Russians, they had for 20 years, they call it millimeter wave technology because the waves are in millimeter size. And they use a very weak signal, like 100 times weaker than a mobile phone. And they can have large health effects. They cure a lot of things. Now we're going to take 10,000 times this energy in frequencies that are not natural and bombard the body. And the thing is that telecoms, they want to put it in this room, outside your building and everywhere, because 5G has to cover every corner of the house, because they want to cover your water supply in the house, the electricity. They want to control you with a chip. You can have integrated automatic computers in your glasses. The car's going to drive by themselves. Everything is going to be controlled wireless. And this wireless information is messing with your light. We are not made for it. We are made to be outside barefoot, having sunlight. That's the frequency we're made for. And again, the blue light is probably the worst, because the blue light, I have a slide for blue light. Well, okay, I'm coming to it. I'm coming back to it. So, I did say one of the things that you can do is to fix the spinal blockage and increase the flow and the balance in the spine. It's important. I can show you results of a 7-minute procedure. Here, I call it a parasympathetic neck procedure. Right here, you have the gallbladder and liver meridian going up, by the way, charging your head, so that's an important thing. But when you stimulate this area with a relatively low frequency for a couple of minutes, you activate a parasympathetic nerve response. It means you can look at x-rays, and if people are a little bit like this, I stimulate it behind here, you can see that it's falling back. So the muscle is relaxing. Then I do use this, what I call the Y electrode, up there, up and down the spine, slowly. Let's say 10 times. That's it. We do a couple of movements just to have the body release, and then I measure before and after. What I did here is I measured the electric, the photonic emissions from this person, from the fingers, and it's mapped here. Yeah, and you can see on this picture, which is that this person has very weak energy in the spleen, and there's a weak energy in the urogenital system. So the body is out of balance, and the energy is not balanced. That is photons we are seeing there. That's photons, right? You understand? You can see what's going on in the body from photons. Very simple. Then I do the procedure, and then I take a new picture. 7 minutes later. You see, it's much more even. So there's more even distribution of energy. It's better balance. You see from this picture that the spleen, am I done? I'm done. Oh, quick. 2 minutes to finish off? I don't think I need more. 2 minutes? German minutes. Finished. Joking. Okay, so you can see the energy systems of the body is also in more balance. This took 7 minutes. And the good news is that I convinced TimeWaver that we need to have this function in TimeWaver home, TimeWaver frequency, at least TimeWaver frequency. So now one of the very good developers, Mario, is actually having a prototype working with it. So I hope this is something we can teach how to do in the next seminar. So yeah. Okay, you see also, you say up there, I measure the emotions. So there were more stress and anxiety before this procedure, and when they're balanced, the stress and anxiety reduced. How is this possible? Yes, because it's all stored in the body. Well, 2 minutes is difficult. Anyway, I measure here, and you see all the yellow. That's the systems that are working too hard. There's something challenged in the body. I took TimeWaver medical using the meridian system, and you see it says heart and small intestine. I think it's very fantastic. I mean, I do it every day, but sometimes I don't even believe it. I measure physically, then I measure with TimeWaver, and we get the same information. How can it be? Well, I think it's because of photons. You see the total energy here was 80%, and you see the heart chakra and so on out of balance. Now you see him before and after, and you see the energy is increased, the chakras are in better balance. You see? So I get the same results measuring through informational field, through the electric field. So they are connected. Well, too much to say, but simply we have to get into understanding what is a natural frequency. It's from the sun. They are all independent. They're all full of photons. All photons have independent frequency. This is natural frequency. So we have to try to minimize the man-made frequency because they're totally different. Yeah, well, blue light. One last word, and then I think I have to finish. The blue light goes in through your eyes, and you have a circadian clock inside your head. This clock is like a GPS. So we have a GPS up in space, a satellite, sending a signal. And this clock runs a little bit faster than the clock in your mobiles. It has to run faster, or it will be out of sync because of gravity. It's the same thing with the body. So this clock has to run faster than the clock in the cells. The blue light eats up your clock. slows down your clock, so the body is out of sync. Okay. Good frequency you find in nature and from TimeWaver. And resonant frequency of love generates flow. So when you feel love, the body is full of natural frequency of light. So I wish you all love. Thank you.